Your lecturer is Joel Sartori. Mr. Sartori is a photographer, a speaker, an author, and a regular contributor to National Geographic magazine. His assignments have taken him to some of the world's most beautiful and challenging environments, from the Arctic to the Antarctic, and he has photographed everything from Alaskan salmon fishing bears to Amazonian tree frogs. Mr. Sartori has published several books including Rare, Portraits of America's Endangered Species, and he and his work have been the subjects of numerous national broadcasts, including National Geographic's Explore, NBC's Nightly News, and a PBS documentary titled At Close Range with National Geographic.
Hi everyone, I'm Joel Sartori, a contributing photographer for National Geographic magazine and your professor for this course on photography. For more than 20 years and 30 stories, I've traveled the world looking for good pictures. In fact, photography is about all I've done since I was 18 years old. Can you believe it? Judging by my wrinkles and gray hair, it's a long time. I never dreamed that growing up in Nebraska, I'd be a National Geographic photographer, but here I am. And it's all thanks to a few little black boxes that I've hung around my neck for so many years. Indeed, a little box has been my passport to the entire planet. It's literally been a key that's allowed me to peek into the lives of nearly anyone and nearly everywhere. It's an excuse to be a professional voyeur. And believe me, people love to show off all around the world. It's also given me a legitimate reason to do things like climb to the top of a grain elevator, or fly low over elephants on the African savanna, or even ride on a nuclear submarine. Isn't that something? It's amazing, isn't it? Beyond all that, though, photography seems to give me a reason for being here in the first place. I shoot all the time, whether I'm at home or on vacation or on the job. After all these years, I still get very excited about great light and what there is in that. I love the fact that the quality of light is infinitely different each and every day, and that I'll never ever see the same things twice. I enjoy the process of visual problem solving as well, and that I'll never truly master it. I also like making something out of nothing, especially of surprising my friends and family with lovely, intimate moments of themselves looking healthy and passionate and fine. But you know the best part of all? Photographs can be used to make the world a better place. Nothing fixes a social or environmental ill like shedding a little light on a bad situation. That's really why I became a photojournalist in the first place. But most of all, I love still photography because I'm selfish. I get a huge kick out of it. Photography is endlessly surprising to me and those around me. It's a bit like acting, I suppose. If you do it well enough, you never know where it will take you in terms of the end result. I surprise myself every time I shoot, both pleasantly and unpleasantly, but I know that each situation I capture as a still image has the potential to become iconic and to rise above the original situation from which it came. To be able to create lasting, meaningful art from even the smallest of situations and to be continually amazed by it all, well, it doesn't get any better than that. Besides, now that I've done this for so long, I'd say it's pretty much ruined me for any other kind of work. So a photographer, I'll stay until the day I die. So, when I first picked up a camera, things were shot on film and much simpler. But still, that black Nikon camera with the heavy lens on it was so confusing to me. It really was. Wish I'd had this course way back then. Would have saved me a lot of time and heartache. This course will help you improve your photography in ways you may not have considered before. How? Well, we're going to talk about cameras and lenses, sure, but we're going to go way beyond that, beyond the hardware to the skills you need regardless of size, sophistication, and the price tag of your gear. Price tag does not matter really to make great pictures. Hard to believe, isn't it? Pure and simple, we're going to talk about seeing well, and thinking critically about your pictures. I mean, being harsh on yourself. So first, what does it mean to see well? Some more good questions. Do you already take good pictures but wish you could take better ones? Ever ask yourself why your photos aren't as good as others you've seen? Ever wonder why they don't always work and what you can do about it? You have come to the right place, my friends. You have. In this course, you're going to learn not only how to fix problems, but why the fix works. And it has everything to do with seeing well and thinking critically. It doesn't have anything to do with your gear, believe it or not. Now, here's how this course is going to be organized. The first half is going to be about basics, cameras, lenses that you have, and how to use them. How to use what you have at home. You don't need to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. I'll introduce you to essential terms like aperture, depth of field, focal length, and I'll talk with you about how photographers manipulate those, as well as let you in on some of my own secrets and personal tricks of the trade. Then we're going to look at how a good photograph is built or constructed using the building blocks of light, perspective, and composition. I'll say it again, light, perspective, and composition. Those are huge, and most people never think about them. They don't, but you're going to. The second part of this course is going to focus on the kinds of pictures that people usually want to take. Things like landscapes, of course, landscapes, wildlife, all right, absolutely. People, we all like to take good pictures of our family and friends, right? And special occasions, maybe even not so special occasions. Just a snowstorm back in Nebraska. We're going to focus on how to clean up and clarify the chaos of life so that your pictures really sing no matter where you live, whether you're in a big city or out in the middle of nowhere. It's fun, it's relatively easy, and you can make better pictures right away. After this lecture, you'll be able to make better pictures, I guarantee you. At the end of each lecture, I'm going to give you a little assignment that's relevant to what you've just seen and heard. In some cases, I'll do the assignment right along with you so you can see the best ways to approach it. I've made plenty of mistakes in all my years of shooting, and I can help you avoid the same pitfalls. The goal is to hit a home run with each picture, no matter what the situation. You may not always get there, but the goal is to try to hit a home run, okay? You're going to learn in 3 ways from this course. One way is through the studio lectures. Here we are in this lovely studio here at the teaching company, the Great Courses. The second is through plenty of photos I'll be showing as examples. These will be mostly good. I guess that's kind of good, but some not so good ones either. Shot that in the hotel room this morning. Not so nice, right? But I want you to get used to the idea that it usually takes more than 1 or 2 swings to hit a home run, for sure. Especially when we're starting out. It's difficult. It is. And third, you're going to come with me into the field sometimes, back to my home, Lincoln, Nebraska, to a little farm I own not too many miles down the road. Call this the Dunbar House. It's near Dunbar, Nebraska. We're also going to go to a fabulous place just on the edge of town called Raptor Recovery, Nebraska in Elmwood, Nebraska, where injured birds of prey are nursed back to health and released back into the wild. It's a great place to shoot wildlife pictures. We're going to really have a lot of fun in this course, in other words. It's going to be a lot of fun. So to start off, I'd like to show a few pictures of here, the kind that got me my job at National Geographic. People always ask me that. How'd you get your job at National Geographic? Well, this picture helped a lot, believe it or not. It's hard to believe, isn't it? It's of cattle watching a fire burn in Kansas. It's just something I shot on the way to my grandmother's house to go fishing one evening. What is it about this picture that attracted the Geographic? Well, it's at the right time of the day when the orange glow of the fire kind of balances out with what's left of the light in the sky after the sunset. It's a nice composition with good lighting, and there are cattle in the middle of a fire. Okay, it's interesting. That helps, right? And the cattle add a little something, a little compositional element to complete the frame. These were young cows that were curious and had never seen fire before. They were just standing there. It was a nice, calm evening. This is one of those pictures that got National Geographic's attention, and it was shot almost in my own backyard at the time. You do not need to go to Timbuktu to shoot something to get National Geographic's attention. Isn't that something? That's a lesson learned, okay? Or let's take this one of a grizzly biting a guy's head. Well, that's something you don't see every day, do you? Not really. And to this day, I meet folks who remember this picture years later after the original story came out in the magazine. There's a friend of mine named Doug Seuss, and that's his movie star bear, Bart. Now, Doug wasn't hurt. This was during a training session, but it's still epic. It's epic, and it's interesting. I'm going to say that over and over again. It's interesting. That helps. It helps a lot if it's interesting. Or how about this one? a wolf snarling over a dead deer. Now this is taken with a remote-controlled film camera, right as this wolf is warning others in her pack to stay away until she's eaten her fill. So she's kind of growling at everybody else. I'd gotten a snarl on her face, but I couldn't be sure until I got my camera back and processed the film months later. That was really a tense time to see. All these pictures go way beyond the original situation, right? They've lasted over time and have gone on to appear routinely in the best of books by National Geographic. However, you guys don't have to have a picture of a bear biting a guy's head to make an iconic photograph, do you? No. You can make it right in your own backyard, or in your driveway in this case, two girls singing with a dog under an umbrella. I use the word iconic for pictures where everything comes together, light, composition, and subject, in a way that's interesting and new and memorable. Like that. It's just cute, and it was not shot of a bear biting a guy's head or some elephants in Africa, right? I'd like to talk for a minute about what makes a picture iconic. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the kind of image where it's elevated to a degree where what you see is bigger than the original situation. Still photography does that so well. It's one reason I love it so to this very day. A great still image surpasses the original situation, and that, my friends, is impossible to do any other way. The goal of this course is to get you to learn how to take iconic, great, and fun photos. And by that I mean images that capture a moment, convey an emotion, and mean something to you and those you love. Great pictures can be found anywhere. They do not have to come from an exotic location. It could be a picture on your sidewalk of your dog. It could be a monkey with a funny haircut at your local zoo. It could be my own feet or your own feet covered in mosquitoes. This is what a desperate photographer will do after not having shot a good picture in 3 days, by the way. My feet itched for hours. It could be a guy dusting the stuffed sheep in the back of a sporting goods store. Iconic pictures are all around us. They surround us every day. All we have to do is look and see them and think. That's what this course is about, just getting you to think. Simple as that. It's not about gear. It's not about how much money you spend on gear. It's about thinking. That's it. That's the course. Now, I got started at National Geographic because I took pictures of the things that interested me, mainly the goofy or the weird or the surprising. The kind of pictures I like to take, National Geographic liked also, so I'm fortunate there. Seeing the surprising things drives what I do to this day. The kind of images that make people stop and stare. The kind where they say, gee, that's really cool. How did you do that? I love it when people can't figure out how you get a picture. That's the best, just the best. Photography is really very simple. There are only a few basic controls on your camera, but seeing well, that's the tough part. That's the biggest challenge, and anybody else with a camera. By seeing well, I mean pulling together the various elements that combine cleanly to make an image. And to some, this can be a really tough concept. Can be. It starts with your subject, truly. The light on your subject, the background, and the space around your subject. Through this course, you're going to learn to see each of those things individually. Each element works both separately and in concert with the others to create really good pictures. Let's address our primary tools here. Your eyes and your brain. That's right. The camera is just a box with buttons. That's all it is. It's just a tool, nothing to be scared of. I'm going to bet you that almost everything you've ever learned about that box is wrong. For example, you don't shoot portraits when the sun is real harsh over your shoulder. That's a very common mistake. Photographers end up torturing their subjects all the time by making them squint into the sun and sweat. Man, have I seen this a million times. No one wants to sit in the sun and squint and sweat, do they? I mean, please. Put the sun over your shoulder and blast right at it, right? Wrong. Look at this. My poor son Spencer, just tortured once again. So how do you fix that? Well, you shoot in softer light. And we'll talk about more graceful lighting in upcoming lectures. Now notice that I did not say you need a fancy camera. A camera is just a box with bells and whistles, and boy do they have a lot of bells and whistles these days. You don't need to master every aspect of it even. I don't even know how all the features on my camera work. I mean, the manual for the thing's 300 pages long, 300 pages. It's impossible. Unless you were the engineer that designed the camera or you wrote the book, forget it. Without using your eyes and your brain, the fanciest camera in the world won't give you good pictures. They won't give you the pictures you want. I guarantee it. To start off, you need to master just a few of the camera settings, not all of them. You're going to learn what those settings are, nice and easy. When you get more comfortable with the basics, then pick up that manual and see if there's anything more complicated that you'd like to try. But don't try to know it all to start. Shoot, I'm still learning, and I've been at this a long time. This is not a technical course. Can you guess that by now? It's about simplifying the technical information, the basic stuff we need to learn with whatever camera you have and making great pictures. Great pictures. Whatever camera you have, I can guarantee you that you can make great pictures with it. Photography is not about the gear. Good photography isn't. It's about seeing and thinking. Besides, the gear we use changes all the time. It changes every day just about. So eyes and brain. And what is it? We've got these things trained on 3 things. This is what we need, 3 things. A great picture consists of great light, good composition, and oh yeah, something interesting. Don't bore the viewer. Do not force boring pictures on people, please. We're all forced to look at boring pictures all our lives. Please don't do that. Okay, we're going to make sure you get off that nasty habit if you've been doing that, okay? We're going to make sure of it. Having said all that, know that 2 out of 3 things, great light, good composition, something interesting, 2 out of 3 can be enough. It can. 2 out of 3 can create a good lyrical picture. Heck, I've seen an excellent photograph with just 1 of the 3. I've shot a few of those. But a good photographer is always aware of these 3 things: light, composition, and subject, even if 1 or 2 are iffy. And you need to be too. Here are some of the photographs that illustrate a couple of these components. I picked these that I thought were iconic and eventually yield the 3 features we're going for: great light, great composition, interesting subject. The first nice shot came about eventually in the Salmon River Valley of Idaho. I was there to do a story on federal land use. I hadn't found anybody really using federal land. I was just driving back to my hotel room. There's about an hour of light left. I figured I could go back and mope in my hotel room and get nothing, or wander around the field and run into something at least. Anything's better than nothing. So I'm driving down the highway, minding my own business, a little mopey. The sky's kind of gray. Hadn't shot anything all day, really. About an hour of light left, like I said. And there's a tractor and the guy's baling hay. And I'm thinking, okay, at least the landscape's wide open. Let's work this a little bit. Okay. So then I get a little closer, go on down the gorge, get closer. I notice there's this kid in this striped shirt. And he's watching, turns out, Grandpa on the tractor. I'm thinking, okay, all right, that's all right. This could be interesting. The farmer's name was Philip Goodell, and his grandson was hiding from him behind these bales. And it was a very cute and idyllic scene. I made some frames, right? Made a few frames. And I liked them, and I was, it's just a pleasant little scene. I didn't really expect anything to be published. And then when they got done, I walked up to their truck. They'd invited me back to their home for dinner, something like that. So I walked up to the truck, and this happens. Wow. They've got this blue heeler dog in the truck, and he tries to come at me just so ferociously through the window. Grandpa's holding on to his back leg, holding on to him so the dog can't kill me. The thing I am most proud of to this day is that I didn't run away shrieking. I didn't run away. I just stood there, and I took a couple of pictures. And the grandson is meanwhile sitting in the back seat laughing. He thinks it's hilarious, right? Let's talk about the mechanics of why this picture works so you can get an idea of my approach, believe it or not. I did have an approach in mind when I shot this. The sort of analysis I want you to learn to do with your pictures, hopefully when there's not a dog trying to rip your face off, of course. Now, first of all, the light is soft. Nice, soft day, right? And the background's okay because we get a sense of where we are. We're in a hay meadow, and we're in a rural setting, and there's mountains, and that's fine. We see a dark sky. We see the bales of hay, and we know we're somewhere in the country, in the Rockies maybe. Now you add the people and the dog into it, and wow, is it interesting? Well, yeah. Dog's trying to rip my face off. Everything's sharp, and the fangs are bared, and it's right there. Another layer on the onion is the kid laughing in the truck, okay? The kid's laughing. He's looking at my reaction, and I'm as scared as I can be. The dog was really trying to get out at me and even clawing up the doors. And the kid laughing adds another layer. So it becomes this iconic photograph that kind of lasts through the years. And it was total luck, you guys, total luck. I had my camera with me, so it worked out. If you carry your camera with you, you're going to see interesting things. And this is just in a hayfield in Idaho. And it started out as a nothing situation. I mean, nothing. Quiet, quiet, quiet. Let's look at another one now. This is another picture I consider iconic as well. This is of my wife, Kathy, and our baby son, Cole. He's a toddler, actually. And he is ruining a perfectly good evening for us at Dead Horse Point State Park in Utah. I was doing a story on Utah for National Geographic. It was sunset, and we're at this beautiful scenic overlook. There are some other tourists scattered about, but it just needed something else. Anybody can take a nice picture of an epic scene like that. That's no trick at all. You just wait for the light to get good, right? But I wanted to show something else. So I'm thinking, well, Cole was in a foul mood that night, and I thought if Kathy held him up a little bit and held him still, he'd get in a much worse mood because kids hate holding still. So I had her hold him up, and in about 20 seconds, he starts in again, and he's in this funny little toddler outfit, this goofy little outfit, and you can see the background. The composition's good, the light's soft, and it's something interesting. The kid's screaming his head off. So all three elements in one frame. Doesn't happen very often. Even though we wrecked our day, this photo made up for it. It even ran in the National Geographic story on Utah. I knew when I shot it, it would probably run because we've got good color, a good sense of place, and we've got good composition. The background works well. It doesn't fight with the foreground, but it adds something to the picture. And it's interesting. It's a kid throwing a fit in a funny outfit. So you very seldom see pictures with kids throwing fits, and that's remarkable because just about everybody has kids. I've got 3. Yet how many times do we shoot them bawling? Never. So I think that's a great opportunity. You can go way beyond the obvious with that. Something that's a little bit different, something that makes people chuckle, right? So now, these things didn't just happen. I took a moment to evaluate the situation, to see what was there, and to really think about it, to think critically. I looked for problems to solve. Once you begin to think like a photographer, visual problems will become more and more apparent. So will the solutions. That's great. The more you do it, the easier the solutions. This is key. This is key to the whole course. We are visual problem solvers. The fact that you've paid for this course and you want to learn how to solve visual problems, giddy up. Let's do this. If we're serious about photography, then we're serious about solving visual problems. And those problems are abundant. If it's in your frame, it's in there because you want it to be in there, not because you couldn't figure out how to get rid of it, okay? So to get you started, here's your first assignment. It has 2 parts. First, take a good picture of your favorite room in your own home. I want you to see that room in terms of what might cause problems with your picture. Second, take a picture of something happening in that room. Maybe a person comes in, maybe a pet walks through, maybe you turn the TV on, or you open a window and the wind blows through. Take a picture of something happening. I'll do that second part with you, the making something happen, so you can see what I have in mind. Let's go to my home now in Lincoln, Nebraska, to my favorite room, my living room actually. We'll talk about what we're seeing there and how to think about it and how to get you started making better pictures right at home. Okay, so welcome to my house here in Lincoln, Nebraska. We are in my living room. This is my favorite room in the house. Why? Because it's big and it's hard to believe, but this is the least cluttered room in my house. We're real pack rats around here. Anyway, this is about visual problem solving, isn't it? And this is your assignment. It's to find the best room in your house, your favorite. It's a nice thing because you can work right in your own home. And you're going to learn how to see well. That's the whole thing. Photography, good photography is about visual problem solving. So we really want you to learn how to see well here. You're going to be looking differently at these rooms in your own home. Believe it or not, these rooms that you see over and over again, they can yield tremendous potential visually. But you have to be able to see it and identify it and look at it throughout different times of the day and night. Just see what room yields what different times of the day with different things going on. So we're going to do a few things in this room to basically unclutter it a bit more. I can shoot several different angles in here. I know that because I've done pictures in this room many times over the years. We do several different things. We're going to adjust the blinds. We're going to go over and work from different angles. We're going to get high angle, low angle. We're going to try different things in here. All of them will yield different pictures, but we're going to clean things up, tidy things up a little bit, and we're going to be thinking. This is about seeing well. That's all this is about at this point. Seeing well in your own home. You can do it. If I can do it in a cluttered room like this, you can do it too. So let's get started. Okay, so we have picked up the room, we've straightened it all up, we've put the pillows back on the couch, we've removed the lightsabers sitting around on the floor, and opened the blinds up a little bit to make the room a little bit more bright. Now, since I'm a busy guy, I don't have time to wait around for something to happen, so I'm going to bring in my assistants Grace and Rebecca and a couple of dogs, and we're just going to see what we can get here, try to make something really neat happen. We want to make something interesting happen in this room. I'm not a very patient guy. In fact, I would be terrible at sailing because you have to wait for the wind to push you. So I've asked my assistants Rebecca and Grace to do something interesting. And this doesn't look too interesting. They're standing there with their arms at their sides, stiff as a board. So we've talked about this ahead of time. You guys could do this too. Introduce something interesting into your living situation. For us, it's going to be our family dog. So we've talked about this. Girls, do your thing, okay? Grab them up. Now see, you got a dog as big as a horse. That's interesting. Now we're going to make a couple of pictures. Just going to see how this looks. The focus is going to be right there on Rebecca with Muldoon. Grace is in the background, and we're getting a few pictures. And you know what? This isn't working as well as it could. I'm seeing pictures and clutter in the background that I didn't see before. So I think what we're going to do is remove that, clean it up, and see how that looks. So let's try that. Okay, so we've removed the clutter above the mantle there. It's nice and clean. Okay, Rebecca, see if you can get Muldoon to go up. Okay, now we're going to try it. Look at that. Let's see how this looks. A little bit more clean, a little bit better. Nice. Grace, just look at the dog. There we go, perfect. I know you're crazy about that dog. Let's see if Muldoon will give you a kiss. Almost. Rebecca, back up this way a little bit to the left. That gives us a little bit more separation between Muldoon and you and Grace. Okay, that's good, that's good. There we go, there we go. Okay, very nice, very nice. Okay, now that looked perfect. Kind of fun, huh? I want to point out to you that I didn't just snap one or two pictures there, did I? I took several. I changed up some stuff in the middle to make it better. It's all about seeing and thinking and changing up if it's necessary. Now, why would I ask you to do this? Because I want to start off easy. Photographs of your family, friends, and home should be the best photos you ever take. Why? Because you have 24-hour-a-day access to your subjects. The best places, the best things, the best light. You have access to the most dramatic opportunities from, let's see, laughter, of course. My daughter Ellen partying it up at one of her birthday parties, going over the top. To crying, tears, right? Who doesn't want to photograph tears? I know I do. That's sick, isn't it? But you know, it's actually a good disciplinary tool. When you break out the camera, they all of a sudden get better. They hate having their picture taken when they're crying. It's really good for good behavior in kids. Try it sometime. What else can you shoot? All hours of the day. When the light is magic, when it pours into different rooms in different ways and in different places, you're going to be with your family and friends at all times. Have a camera with you. Take advantage of that, for goodness sakes. I have a lot of sayings. Here's your first one. Sometimes you just got to pet the whale. This is my slang for the fact that sometimes it's just not picture taking time. Be selective, please. Some things are not really meant to be shot. Don't stand there fiddling with your camera. Look at it and think, is this worth it? Is this worthy? Is this good enough to photograph? If not, can I make it good enough in short order without torturing those I know and love? Sometimes just take a shot or two, then appreciate the rest. I made some changes. I took a few pictures, and that was it, right? I didn't keep Rebecca and Grace and the dogs around for a couple of hours. It was just a few shots, something to record the moment. Don't torture your subjects. So what about that whale? Why do I say sometimes you got to just pet the whale? Well, because years ago, literally, I encountered whales on a piece I was doing for the Endangered Species Act story I was working on for National Geographic. And we went to this Laguna San Ignacio in Mexico on the Baja Peninsula, okay? So you go out in these little boats called pongas, and you're in this beautiful lagoon on a sunny day, and there are these gray whales there that have no memory of being hunted. And some of them come right up to the boat. to be petted, believe it or not, because they don't remember that people used to hunt them. Some of them roll on their backs and on their sides. They stick their tongues out. They want you to scratch their tongues. It is really incredible, just incredible. So there are people in the boat, believe it or not. This is the saddest thing. They insisted on videotaping and shooting the entire thing, but they're supposed to be on vacation. They're supposed to be on vacation. They never stopped to pet the whales. They never stopped to pet the whales. Can you believe it? If you can, you must pet a whale. And this means you have to put your camera down to do this. Another example of when not to shoot, I photographed Cole's birth, my son's birth, but I did not experience it. Believe it or not, I didn't experience it. How could that be? Well, just is. I'd rigged up the camera so that I had remote cameras and foot switches and I could take pictures of Kathy in labor. Don't I look like I really care, like I'm compassionate? No, I'm focusing in on Kathy because I know I've got to focus there, and I'm actually firing a camera with a foot switch under the bed, believe it or not. I wanted to do this photo essay that showed Kathy as she goes to the hospital, gives birth. There's her doctors watching a James Bond movie on TV while they're waiting for contractions. There's the nurse teaching her how to breathe, because I went to Lamaze with Kathy, but I wasn't helping her breathe. I was just shooting pictures. I wanted to do this little photo essay that I thought would be something lasting to give to Kathy, her mother, and my mom. So there's Cole being born. Here I am presenting the baby. I look pretty happy, but I'm hitting the foot switch under the bed. That's how pathetic this is. I'm hitting the foot switch under the bed. So I missed the whole experience. Look at this. I mean, I look at these pictures, I'm actually kind of ashamed of them now because I was working. I was working the event. Yeah. Well, I got a nice set of pictures, and I shot my brother and my sister-in-law coming to see the baby, and there's my parents. My parents are staying back in case they have a cold. But you know, and there's Kathy's family when we were at home. I got this nice set of photographs, surely, but I missed the birth. I missed it. I missed the whole thing because I was working it. I will not make that mistake again, I guarantee you. I worked the birth and I missed it. Still bums me out to think about it. Well, when my second child, Ellen, was born, I took one picture of the baby on the table and then I cried like a baby. So sometimes you just want to stop and enjoy life. Look, 100 years from now, no one will know any of us even existed. So think about that really. Some things you just don't want to shoot. Be very discerning and discriminating about when you pick up that camera. Your pictures will be a lot better if you just say no to most things. I want you to figure this out though, through this course, when to say yes. So now you're just itching to go out and buy a camera and get started? Not yet. In our next lecture, we will talk about what equipment you do and do not need and how to make the most of what you have already in terms of gear. So please, stay with us.